Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Find all of the buttons. Okay. Hello. Happy Sunday. Good morning. My name is Tina Bickford. I'm the Tatted Stamper. Welcome to my craft room. If you're watching live, go ahead and drop me a comment, say hello, let me know where you're watching from. So last week, I was not able to see comments from YouTube for some reason. I don't, oh, my desk camera is showing down in here in the corner. Sorry about that. Um, especially if you're watching on YouTube, drop me a comment and let me know. Okay, good morning, Dad. I can see Dad's on Facebook. Let me know if you're watching on YouTube, and we'll just keep going. So last week, I don't know what the problem was last week. I couldn't see any comments from anyone on YouTube, and I was able to go back and rewatch the video, and for some reason still didn't see any of the comments from the live chat. So I was only able to see comments from, oh, good morning, Ken, YouTube. Excellent. I can see comments from YouTube. Excellent. Excellent. Good morning. Good morning, Melissa. Melissa's joining us on YouTube also. Excellent. I'm so glad that I can see those comments. Yay. I'm not sure what I did to fix it, but apparently I can fix it. So last week, I told you we would be doing a fun fold today. Hello, Sandra from Chile, Oklahoma, 23. So, Sandra, we're getting more snow. We got, I think my husband measured 4 inches of snow just the other day, Friday. We got that Friday. And we're in for an even bigger nor'easter tonight into tomorrow. And I think most of the day tomorrow it's supposed to snow. So our local channel has us in the 4 to 8 inch range, but we watched the Boston channel, and Boston has my area in the 8 to 12. So I don't know who to believe, but I know I'll be staying home. So, let me see. Melissa is actually joining us from Illinois, and it is 28. So I'm not sure what the actual temperature is here. Hold on. Hold, please. It's 22. It's 22 degrees here. And it is, Sandra, you don't want us to share our snow. I would happily send it in your direction. Just PM me your address and I will send you all of the snow I have in my yard. I hate it. I hate it. I will say, after it snows, when I look out the window after it snows, it is absolutely beautiful out there. And there is something very still and silent about the world after it snows. But that doesn't last very long. That feeling doesn't last very long. Seconds, really. Sanders, I see on the news this morning, East Coast is getting hit with snow. Yes. So I'm on the fence on how much we're actually going to get, but our local New Hampshire station says my area, the southern New Hampshire area that I live in, will get 4 to 8 inches. But we like to watch the Boston news station also, mostly because they have a 10-day weather outlook. Excuse me. And they actually, for this storm, have us in the 8 to 12. So I don't know. I hope Boston's wrong. I hope Boston is wrong. So I told you guys last week I would be back with a fun fold. And ironically, what happened, I got an email from my upline, Susan Campfield, about her, about our weekly video. She has a weekly video with all of her direct reports. And in that email was also the opportunity to join a card swap, which I haven't done in a while. But this one piqued my interest because it is the theme for this one is fun folds, which I love fun folds. So I dug out from my stash. My camera's not showing it right now. Maybe hold on one second. Let me just swing the camera a little bit so maybe you guys can see it. I have right there in the corner a rack full of cards that I've made. So I went digging through that rack to see if I could find some relatively easy fun folds, because you have to mail these, and you know, I don't want to have to get a big giant box to mail these cards. So relatively easy, you know, a little bit flat so that I can, you know, so I can mail them, and easier for the swap organizer to mail back my swap cards, you know, the ones I get from the swap. I signed up for 3 sets, you guys. Oh, and I thought on Friday, when I did that, or was it Thursday? I think it was either Thursday or Friday when I did that. I thought, oh, this is aggressive. This is really, I'm going to have to really dig in, because 3 fun folds, 33 of each set, and she has to have them by March 25th. So it's a perfect opportunity to do some fun fold videos. So I grabbed 3 fun folds that I'm going to be making for the swap. Hi, Roxy. Roxy is joining us from Chicago. Yeah, it's usually cold in Chicago, right? Windy, the Windy City. So I decided that I'm going to do my next 3 videos are going to be the fun folds that I'm doing for the swaps. Yay! I'm so excited. So I actually already have 2 of them done. 2 of them, yeah, Melissa, I got 2 of them done already. It's crazy. So, but this one is all of them we've done before, but I'm putting new spins on all of them. So I'm excited. And if you guys want to, I'm going to switch down to the desk camera and just get started, because I'm super excited. I am so glad you guys are all here for this, because this is going to be so fun. All right, let me find the right button here. And I have no idea. Perfect. Okay. So here we go. Yay. I'm so excited. Okay. So the fun fold, this one is, I called it the slanted fun fold is what I called it. So this is the card that we did. So these are the ones that we did. This is the slanted fun fold. So when it sits, let me just grab something. Grab something I can show you. So because of the camera angle. Okay, so let's just say this is your table or your desk, right? This is how the card sits on the table. That's how it's displayed. So I think I came up with this just kind of an accidental cut. I accidentally cut the card the wrong way or something, and came up with this. So this is the way the card sits on your table. I also did version that is this way. So it sits on the table this way, which is, how stinking fun is that? So I did this card with the one that we're going to do today is this card, but with an added fun element. So what I was thinking to make this, like, I don't know, would you guys call this a fun fold, even though it doesn't, like, I mean, it's just a regular, like, it just opens and closes just like this. It was just a cut, but would you call this a fun fold? I would. But I thought maybe some people wouldn't call this a fun fold, because there's not like stuff to open, and it's not going every different way, and it doesn't expand and all that. So I decided at, I think it was 1:00 a.m. The other day, that I needed to do something a little bit different to it to make it what I would consider, or what I think other people would also consider, a fun fold. So these are the, so you could do it either way. This card, the fold is up here, and the fold is over here. So you could do it either way. I'm going to, when we do the one today, I'm going to give you a couple of tips for this too. we're gonna go through it with all of my measurements, but as I'm going through it with my measurements, you can modify this to whatever angles and stuff you want. And the only thing that you want to be careful of, and I'll show you. Good morning, Mom. I was wondering when you were going to pop on. The only thing that you want to make sure of is if you're doing this card so that it is in a portrait, if it's oriented, portrait instead of landscape, you want to be very mindful of how much you have on this area here, because this is what your card will sit on. Okay, this is the bottom or the base of your card. So let's get started. Oh, I'm so excited. This one, I've been working on this one. I actually have one that's kind of in process that I was working on because I just couldn't stop this morning. And then I also have a few alternates to show you, and not just the alternates, but I'll show you my actual swap card as well. All right, so to do this one, I am going to just show you, so the products that I'm going to use, I'm going to be using from the Forever Florals. I'm just going to be using this die here, this sentiment tag. So I'm going to be using that one. I really love this. I love these shapes. I just love these shapes. This was the one that we got with the virtual card retreat. This is actually coming out in March. What did you have under the card? Oh, that was my number 4 plate. So my are you sorry. Melissa, are you talking about this? This is what I had. Just to kind of show you that this would be what your tabletop is that your card would sit on. Is this what you meant? So I'm going to use this, this die here, this one right here. And then I'm going to, and I said, this is coming out in March this is one of the online exclusives coming out in March. And I got glue all over that. So messy. All right. And then I'm going to be using, I just got these ones. From I got these last week. These ones came. These are Simply Beautiful. So it's Simply Beautiful stamps and dies. I really loved the mixed font on here, that some of it's print and some of it's cursive. I really loved that. These, I've been seeing a lot of demonstrators do some very beautiful coloring with watercolor pencils and the blending all to these flowers. It's gorgeous. We're going to be doing some more of the magical heat embossing. So I'm also going, this is the dies that go with this. These things are super cool, but today's the first day that I actually started playing around with them. So yeah. So let's just do that. Yeah. So this one here, like this big one, will cut out this flower and the leaves, obviously. And these here will do these. These ones will do these down here. And then you have all of these gorgeous detail dies that we're actually going to be using. I'm using the smaller flower and leaves and stuff for this one. So we're going to be using, this is going to be a wedding card. So I'm trying to, that stash that I showed you, I'm trying to build up like different types of cards. So I don't have a lot of wedding cards. So I thought, oh, we'll make a couple wedding cards. So I'm going to use those. I've already taken the dies out that I'm going to use. So these are the dies. And I've already mounted the stamps that we're going to use. I'm also going to be pulling in, this is one of my favorite. I love all the embossing. The embossing adds so much texture and interest to your card that I love it, like a feely card. It's a feely card. You can feel it. I love that. The heat embossing gives that little bit of a raised image. The dry embossing gets a little bit of a raised image. So this is the beautiful pattern embossing folder. So we're going to be using this one also. All right. Now for our paper components to this. Our card base is it's 4¼ by 11. I don't normally do them in this way. I usually, do it the other way. This one works this way. You could do it the other way, but your fold is going to be on, your score line would be, let me grab that. Like if you did it the other way, instead of having your score line here, your score line or your folded edge would be here. So you really would only be able to have it this way here, and it would open like this, which is also fine. But I'm doing it this way. So 4¼ by 11, and then we're going to use a piece of the Night of Navy two-tone cardstocks. So the and I also have another piece. This is just I think is like 2½ by 6 or something like that. We're going to be doing some die cutting out of this piece. So it just needed to be big enough for all of my dies. So I just, fit dies on here to see, what would fit. And this was a piece of scrap that I had that fit all of the dies. So this is the Night of Navy two-tone. So one side is dark and one side is light. So you can see that. So I don't have to pull in. What I love about this is I don't have to pull in other papers. I just have basic white and I have the two-tone, and I have 3 colors that I can work with. The only other piece that I'm going to pull in is this little piece of silver foil. I think it's actually technically holographic because you can see like all the rainbow in there. Oh, right there is a good one. Yeah. So this, I'm going to die cut this little piece for the center of the flower. Okay. So let's see. Let's do the die cutting first. I know that's weird. So I don't normally do the die cutting first. So the sentiment tag that I'm going to have on the front, I'm going to have the sentiment be on the darker blue. I'm going to have the flowers. So you can choose when you're doing this, you can choose, do I want, like these are 2-piece flowers plus there are 2 leaves. Okay, that I'm going to do out of the blue. So I already know the sentiment tag I want to be on the dark side. Do I want the flowers to be light and the leaves dark, or do I want it to be the other way? You can choose to do it either way. When you do have to make sure that you are placing your dies cut side down, blade down on the color that you want your image to be, your die cut to be. So if I want my flowers to be the darker color, I'm going to place my flowers down on the dark side. And then when I want the leaves to be lighter, because that's the way I'm going to do this card, I'm going to place them blade side down on the lighter side. Okay. So I'm just going to try to fit some of these. I said I wanted that on the dark side there. And then my flowers are going to be up here and up here. And then my leaves, what I'll do is, I mean, you could cut this and send it all through at the same time. You could die cut these and then take the leftover piece, flip it over and die cut the leaves. However you want. I want to send this all through in one whack. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually cut this into a couple of pieces here. I'm just going to cut this down for my tag. And then this, oops. Good morning, Lisa. What's the weather like in North Carolina? All right, so I'm just going to cut. This is the widest part of this flower. So I'm just going to cut this like so. And then I'm just going to fit my leaves on here. So that's how we're going to do that. Okay. Just like that. And we'll send this through the die cut. And then this piece also. We'll send it all through. So let me grab that Yeah, so Melissa, this is the Night of Navy. The Night of Navy is gorgeous, and this is just considered the light Night of Navy. This to me looks like the Misty Moonlight. So when you take, let me show you. So this is the Night of Navy, two-tone cardstock. That's one side, this is the other side, right? I love Night of Navy and Misty Moonlight. This is the Night of Navy. And this is Misty Moonlight. That's exactly what it's off a little bit, but this is kind of the vibe that I was getting from the other side. So let's just put those back. All right, let's roll this through. All right, we're gonna do, all right, so die cutting. Our stamp cut and emboss machine comes with the plates. So I am using the #1 base plate. That one is very thick. It's a very thick plate. I don't think I've ever shown the side of it, but that's a very thick plate. And then we're doing dies. So this #2 plate is the thin die adapter. That one is thin. And then we're going to put our cutting. So depending on the way you cut, if you like to cut with a blade up, then your cutting plate is going to be your top plate. I cut with the blade side down, so I always put the marked up one, the one that I'm going to cut into, that one's always down at the bottom. So this is a #3 cutting plate. It's the clear one. And then you're just going to start putting your cardstock, and you can put that any way. You're just going to start loading it up on here so that we can cut. And there's that one. So that's going to go on there. And I wanted my flowers to be dark, so those are going to go on there, like so. And then the leaves, like so. All right. And then your top #3 cutting plate goes on, the top #3 goes on, and you roll that through. Oops, this shifted just a little bit. You can put these down, hold them down with Post-its or washi tape or whatever, or if you just have enough, leeway in your piece of cardstock, then you don't need to. They could wiggle around a little bit and it would be okay. All right, let's get that out of the way. All right. Oops. All right. This guy, and this guy. And then that. So this, like this tab, see, it's got that little bit of a detail on the edge. Super cool. We're actually going to do something super fun with that edge. I didn't do it on my other sample cards, but I did it on the last one I did, and I stinking loved it. So I'm going to do it on this one. So I'm just going to look how fun. And then the leaves, and the leaves have just that cut out in the center. And I suppose if you wanted to do these and put like the if you die cut this leaf on the darker side, you could use the negatives to put in for the veining. I'm not going to do that, but I'm not going to do it for this one, but I'm going to save those veins because I may do that for the next one. Okay. So all of this aside, there's that other one. Save that veining. And then the flowers. And the same thing. So the flowers have the details that are cut right out. Again, you can flip this over and cut this on, one side on the light and one side on the dark, and then you instantly have you know, contrasting color that you can use for your flowers. I'm doing that. If I thought about that ahead of time, I would have done that, but I did not. So there's that flower, and then just save these. All right, so there are our die cut pieces. I'm just going to go ahead and set these aside for now. I just wanted to get those out of the way. We're going to get to some of the fun of this card. All right, so let's pull our card base and our trimmer. All right, so the card base is 4 1/4 by 11. So we're going to score that at the 5.5 mark. That doesn't change. That's standard. Okay. Now, just set that aside for a second. We're going to fold this. Make sure your edges line up. Give it a nice burnish right there. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my ruler and a pencil. We're going to make a couple of marks on this. So this is my folded score line right here. This is how the card currently opens up, like this. So with that score at the top, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to mark this bottom corner. I'm going to mark this up from this bottom corner at 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to mark this. So you can do this one of two ways. You can measure from this side in 2 1/4 inches, or you can measure from this side over 2 inches. But what I want is, I want a little over half that we're going to be cutting or folding or whatever. So either way you want to do it, either measure from this corner over to 2.5 inches or from this corner over 2 inches and make a mark. Okay. Now, the easiest thing that I have found to do this, I've done a couple of them, and a couple of them I really had to they had to be modified to get the angle right, because I didn't, you know, I just cut or folded or scored in a different order. This is the way I found to be the easiest. So I'm going to take my card. This is my 1/2 inch mark. This is my 2 inch mark. My score line is right here. I'm going to put this in my trimmer with both sides, and I am going to cut from one mark to the other. And I'm cutting both of them. So I don't have a flat edge to line up and hold against there, and I don't want to crush my corner by putting pressure in it. So I'm going to hold as firmly as I can on this when I cut. And I'm just going to go nice and slow, cut through both of those. And if you're not right exactly on that, that's all right. Just remove that pencil mark. Okay. So from here, I'm just going to turn this back around. So this is my score line again. I mean, the folded edge of my card again. And then on the back of the card, so I'm just going to flip this up. Okay. This is the back of the card. We're going to cut from this corner down to this point. So I'm just going to line that up in my trimmer again with the card open, because I don't want to make any cuts or any folds or anything on the front yet. So I'm just going to hold this point here, this point. I'm going to hold my finger on this point. You guys have seen me do this before, holding my finger and rotating the top to the point where I'm going to be cutting. Okay. I'm going to start this one in the middle. I could cut down into this because it's a straight line, but I'm going to start it not in the exactly in the middle, but because I'm not holding pressure against either one side or the other, I'm holding a lot of pressure down right now with this hand. And then I'm going to cut right down. Don't throw this away. We're going to use it. Okay. So this is the back of the card. Now we're going to mimic that angle on the front of the card, but we're going to do it with a score line. So I'm going to open the card this way now, this being the front of my card, and I'm going to score from this point to this point. That is why, so this is the part where I kind of went wrong on some of my other cards. I didn't say wrong. They all just had to be, they had to be, you know, modified individually instead of going by specific dimensions. So I tried to do this cut first before I did this cut. It's much easier if you do this cut first. All right, so because you have a point to go by, you have point to do your score in your cut, because you want this score line on the front of your card to be identical with the cut line on the back of the card. So lining that up, making sure everything's in that track, and I'm just going to come in and score. Just like that. So now, if I were to flip this over, that score line matches identical to the back of my card. Okay. Yay. All right. The next part. Okay. Grab my ruler again. Sorry, grab my ruler. Okay. So I want to make one more. I know that's really hard to see, that score line. I want to make one more score line from the bottom up. So what I want to do from this edge over, this is 2 1/4. Remember, because we went either 2 1/4 over or 2 inches this way. So this is 2 1/4 inches. I'm going to go halfway at 1 1/8 inch. So I'm just lining that corner of my card up with the 1 1/8 inch, and I'm going to make that mark right there, and just a tiny mark. Now, again, this is another thing that I kind of had to work through. When you look at that score line that's right there, can't really see it there, it goes right up to that very top. So we're going to be, what we're going to do with this is we're going to fold this over, and then we're going to fold the other part back. So what you don't want is, you don't want to come right up to that same score line, because then it looks all crumpled and weird and awkward. So I want to come down a little bit so that we're not right up at the very top. So I'm going to take my ruler again, and I'm going to line this up, so line it right up with the score line, and I'm going to mark down just a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is more than enough to get me, so you can see it gets me away from this up here. Okay, now we're going to score from this mark to this mark. And there, lined up nice, and score. All right, and then I'm going to erase those pencil marks. Now, this is one of the points that I wanted to make at this point. This right here, this angle right here is technically the bottom of our card. I know it doesn't look like that right now, but it is technically the bottom of our card. If you decided that you wanted to have a wider base on the bottom, then you adjust where you put your point down here. So if you wanted a 2 1/2 inch base for your card, then from this corner, measure over 2 1/2 inches and make your mark there. And then cut from there up to your 1/2 inch mark. And that would give you a much wider base. And I did that on one of the cards, so I will show you that. I didn't really erase that very well. Sorry. It was distracting me. Okay. if you want your card to slant more, so what do I mean by that? So right now, get my little visual. This is the table. This is the way that your card's going to sit on the table, right? So if this is the slant upwards that you have, that's based off of this. That is based off of only cutting off a 1/2 inch here. If you want your card to angle more, you can do that. Instead of the 1/2 inch, instead of measuring up a 1/2 inch from this bottom corner, measure up further. Be careful with how far you go, though, obviously, because you don't want I'm assuming you wouldn't want your point up here. And you would also have to have, in order to get a wider base, you'd have to have a different angle cut here. So for me, between 2 to 2.5 inch base on the bottom is good. And the angle, the really good angle on this was the 1/2 inch mark for me. Okay. So just a little tip there for when you're making your card. All right. All right. So now what we're going to do is I want to cut this white triangle also. So this white triangle is actually going to be a layer for this little section right here. So how do I get it there? I'm going to measure. I'm going to measure. This was 1 1/8 of an inch here. I want it to have a little bit of a layer. So I'm just going to do 1 inch. So from this 90-degree angle of this triangle, I'm going to put my ruler at the 1 inch and make that mark right there. And then from this top point down on the long side here, I'm going to do the same thing. Measure 1 inch right there. And then I'm going to cut from point to point. All right, put that in. That top needs to go in a little bit like that. Perfect. Okay. Now, because there's not a lot to hang on to, you can get a Post-it to hold on to it. I'm not going to do the Post-it because I'm going to really have to put some pressure on my track to keep this in place, because there's no edge for it to, to anchor it when I'm putting pressure on it. So I'm just making sure right now that my little marks, the little marks that I made are directly center and lined up where that track is, that cutting track is. This track has this flat edge on it right here that I don't want to hold down here because I don't want to get my fingers in the way of that blade moving. So I'm just going to come over here on this flat little edge here, and I'm going to hold pressure, and I'm going to hold pressure where the cardstock is. So right in this area here, I'm holding pressure, and then I'm going to cut. And when I cut, I'm going to cut slow. Now, this one, I'm cutting into this. It's a straight edge for me to cut into. It's not a point. So you don't have to start in the middle, or you can, but go nice and slow. And then this is the part that we're going to keep. This has a little bit of pencil mark still on it. I'm just going to erase that. This part here, we're not going to use. You can use it for whatever, or you can throw it. All right, so there's that piece. So we're going to set that piece aside for right now. And then we're going to work on our layering piece. Put that up there. All right, so for the layering piece, this is going to be layered on the front of our card. And it is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. That's what I started with. So if you were layering this on your normal card, your regular card, you would have that 1/8 of an inch border around the whole thing. Okay. Our problem is we've got an angle here and we want to mimic that angle. Now, theoretically, you should be able to measure in the same amount of that you measure, whatever your bottom was, and it would work. I'm telling you, I did that on a couple of cards. It didn't work for me. And it was because when I hit this point down here, when I cut down to this point, I didn't hit right at my mark. I was just a little bit off. And that just, I didn't want to have to deal with that. So while I was doing the video, so I came up with this. If you have your layered piece even around all of the edges, specifically even side to side, and then you move it all the way down to the end, you're going to be able to, and we'll do this on the back side, you're going to be able to draw a line along that angle, and you're going to get the exact right angle that you need, the correct, not right angle, the correct angle. Sorry about that, Ken. I said right angle. Okay, so we're going to do exactly the same thing on this side. We're going to have that light color up because it's going to go on our card this way. So we're going to have the light side up, place it like you would, side to side, even along the bottom. So when you look on the side, you've got that 1/8 of an inch, right? Like that. And then, oh, how did I do that? Oh, I know what I did, you guys. All right. Sorry. Did that, came down. Oh my goodness. I've done this card so many different ways. And I took notes and I'm trying to read them. They're over on the side. So 1/8 of an inch here, lined up on the bottom. I'm holding it and flipping it over and drawing that line like that. And then I'm just going to cut. You can cut on the trimmer. You can cut with your scissors. I'm just going to cut with my scissors. Yeah. Cut with my scissors. There. Now, the same thing with this one. The same thing with this one. Because we made this cut first, now we have this point. So we're going to cut from this point up to this corner. And we're going to get the proper angle for this. Okay, so set this stuff aside and do this. And then we're going to do some fun stuff. Oh my goodness, we're going to do fun stuff. Okay, so here to here. And then we're going to cut. This has a little bit of a point and that has a point. So I don't want to crush either one of them. So there, now I have my layering piece. Don't do anything with this one yet. This piece is going to actually go on the back side of this section. So this little scored section here, it's going to go on the inside. So with this one, I want the light color on this side. And if you see, that matches that angle there. So what we're going to do on this one is we're just going to measure over. So for this one right here, I did measure over 1 inch from this corner. So 1 inch here, make my mark. And then from that mark, we're going to cut right up to that point. And then we're almost ready to start assembling. Oh my goodness. I should be watching the time. All right. So put that in, line that up, do the same thing we did before. I'm going to hold a lot of pressure right here where that cardstock is and just cut slow right up to that point. And now I have a piece that perfectly lines up. Oops. In that space. Amazing. All right. So let's actually put that one in my glue. All right. We're going to flip this over and put my glue in here. Now, because these are very thin, like up at this corner, up at this very, very thin, but you do want to have glue up there. So if you get too much glue up there, this is my little tip for this, because I did this earlier. That is too much glue for that corner. That's gonna spill all out. What I did in this section on the back, I just took this down here because I know that all of this is going to be glued down here. I just took this down here and I just gently pressed to get some of the glue off and to spread that glue so that glue gets flattened out there a little bit. And you can do that a couple of times if you want. Just down here where you know you're going to have some this, it's all going to be covered. So then I'm going to come in with this, line it up at this bottom, angle to angle, and then put that right in there. Voila. All right. Now flip it over on the front. We are going to take this little piece here and emboss it. I'm going to do that off screen so that just to save a little bit of time here. So I'm just going to come in with my beautiful pattern. I'm going to put this in here however you want, lined up so that you're getting whatever you want for the embossed design. And there, that we have this little detailed piece here. And this is going to go on the front in this corner here. And we'll do the same thing because we want glue up on that little tiny tip, but we don't want it spilling all out. So we'll do that, pick it up, and I'm just going to touch it down here to get some of that glue flattened out, and then line it up at the bottom corner. And this one, remember, this one, there's the tiniest, so you're only going to get like 1/16 of a border around all of this. But look at how perfectly that fits in that space. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay. Yay. And then we're gonna, I did this on the last one. I'm going to save that because we got to do something to that one. So I'm going to do some folding right here for this little pleat. The first thing I'm going to do is on this first score line that we made, we're going to fold this up. Now this goes right up here to this point. So you're going to really want to be careful. And you're going to make sure that you get that point all the way up. So gentle with your fingers to do that. If you want, you can put a really nice flat edge there, some ruler or whatever, and come in with your bone folder and just rub against the side. And that will give you that crease. Oh, Melissa, you're watching the hockey game? Yes, I think my husband's probably watching that too. And that's all right. Come back to this. This is going to be here forever. All right, so now we have that. And if you look, that matches that angle completely. Now we're going to fold this one back. To do that, I unfolded this one. I don't want too much pressure up here at this corner, remember. So this one folds this way, and this one folds back. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to make sure when I come up here to this, I'm really paying attention to how much I don't want to crush that. All right. And then I'm just going to put this over because I want to just burnish this a little bit, and I don't want to flatten out that embossing. So that's going to go like that, like so. That's a little bit hard to see on camera, but you can see there how that's doing. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do something fun with this one. We're going to do some stamping. All right. And some embossing. So on this one, I am going to emboss with silver. I'm going to get my VERSAMARK. Get my VERSAMARK here. And we're going to put a kind of an all over pattern on this. Now, you do want to work quickly on this because I'm going to use 2 different stamps instead of just one, and I'm going to emboss the whole thing when I'm done. So I'm going to stamp quickly with the flower and then with the leaf, put my embossing powder on, and then we're going to heat that up. So I'm just going to rubbing that over with that anti-static pad. And let's stamp. So I'm just going to do random patterns going off the paper. Like that. We'll come over here. Put one down here. And then we'll come in with a leaf. Like so. and maybe a couple more down here and here. Yeah, here. That and over here. Good enough. Now I'm flipping this over because I have VERSAMARK ink on that and I don't want to get all this embossing powder on it. Now, I don't know, you guys can't really see, oh, there, you can see that a little bit. That's the ink on it. So I'm just going to sprinkle with this embossing powder all over. My tweezers. Like so. I'm just going to flick all that excess off. Gorgeous. And then let's heat it up. So let me just get this. We're going to use more. We're going to do some more, but for right now, get that out of the way and bring in my little. All right, so we're going to heat this up. I'm just going to let my heat gun get warm. Hold this with my tweezers. And then ready for some magic. Here we go. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so this one, and we're not done. We're gonna do a little bit more. We're gonna do a little bit more embossing, but let me just get that out of the way so that we can just put this one on. I'm gonna put this one on with my Stampin' Seal just because it's a little bit quicker than the glue. Yeah, I'll use the glue. I'll use the glue. All right. So flip that over and put the glue on like that. And then we're going to put our layer on. So I'm just going to flatten this over a little bit just so that I have, boom, there. And we're going to put that on there. Like that. Oh, USA just won gold in the oh, that's awesome. All right. Yay. All right. So there's that. This folds up here. Now, when it's folded flat, you can see just that little peak of the lighter color in there. But if not, you see it from the side. All right. Now, the tag. This was the other thing that we were going to do a little embossing on. So I'm going to grab my tag. Grab my VERSAMARK, and I'm using this stamp that just says to the happy couple. And I'm just going to stamp that right on that tag. Like so. Put our powder on. Oh, I didn't use the static pad. Oops. All right, well, let's hope there's not too much that I can't flick off. Well, not too bad, but yeah, I definitely have some areas to clean up here. Like that, and we're going to heat that up. So to do that on camera, I need to move this. Move that all out of the way. Move this in here, and here we go. Like that. All right. So this is the other part that I did that I absolutely loved. All right, leave that there. I'm going to take my tag. I'm going to open my VERSAMARK. And I am going to, remember I said this has that little edge around here. I'm going to dip that. I'm going to roll that in my VERSAMARK pad. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on this. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to dip that in, and I'm going to roll it. And that's going to get ink just on the edges. I'm going to dip that into the embossing powder, and we're going to give this a little silver edge. So I'm just going to rock that like so. Dip it into the powder that I have already on my little scrap paper there. And then come in and heat that right up. And I'll do just really quick. Oops, there's the button. So like that. And I can see I missed a little spot right there. So I'm going to just rock that, pick up some, and I'll heat that back up, but I'm going to rock another section while I'm right there. Pick up some ink there and heat that up. And then I'm going to come in and do just these other two sides. We're almost done. How am I doing on time? Oh, all right. Well, let's rock the two sides at the same time then. There. All right. Cover that. And last one. Oh, I just bumped the camera. Sorry. All right. So for this one, I did get, and I'll show you, I'll have to do another one to put on the actual card, but I did, when I held it, I actually touched this part before the plastic, the embossing powder had completely cooled. So I smudged it a little bit. I do want to show you one thing though. I have found, and you can do this with a little straight blade or whatever. My little tweezers are my go-tos for everything. You can see I've got some embossing powder over here. I found that I'm able to actually kind of come in and just gently rub with the side of the tweezers and just kind of get some of that off. And then just kind of burnish it a little bit. So if you had to clean up a couple of those little like splatters around there, you could. Or you can leave them. All right, so that's the tag. I'm not going to put the tag on the card because I'm going to have to do another one because I smudged it. All right, put this aside. Get that off the way. All right, so then we're going to take our flower, the flower that we die cut, and we're going to put that together. So this is what I did. I put a little drop right in the center of this flower here. Just a tiny drop. You don't need much. Come on. Come on. Oh, Lordy. Come on. What on earth? All right, let's do this one. Ugh. All right, little teeny tiny. Ah, stressful. Trying to get a little tiny dot out of that. And then line these this flower up like so. And then I just kind of, I put like little drops on the leaves. And I just kind of tried to line up the leaves where I thought I would like them. Like there. Maybe have this one go, that one there, and this one like right in here. Kind of put them so that they're going in one direction. That's okay. And then I'm going to just save that for after. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take another drop of glue on the back, and I'm going to put it right in the center again. And we're going to place this flower. So this flower I'm going to place on this, and I want it to so that the leaves are down. So you do need to make sure that you're not going beyond where it would fit into an envelope. So I'm just going to grab an envelope here, just any envelope, and I'm just going to use it as a guide. You can use your grid paper if you want. Not everybody has grid paper. Everybody has an envelope. So just line that up with your envelope. Press this down, and you can see all of the room that I have to put this where it will fit in the envelope. So I'm actually going to just put it like that. Let's put a little drop of glue on this little guy here and put him on. Now this I want to point up in this direction, like so. And then for the happy couple, this tag, the tag I'm going to put on right here, like this. And then the card stands. So if I were to grab my plate again to show you how the card will sit on a table. Oh, I'll have to put that leaf back on. I'm going to put that leaf back on. I'm rushing, and I'm so sorry because I'm looking at the time and I'm over an hour. So the card will sit like this on the table with that happy couple sentiment tag. And I would pop this up on dimensionals. So this is how it would sit. Now, what you do have to be aware of when you're putting the tag on, you do not want to line the tag up with this angle. You want to line it up with the bottom. So this is how it will go, like so. Oops. Like so. Just like that. So that's the card. And I'll show you that. I'll put this one to, I'll show you the other one that I did, this one right here. So this one, I did the flower exactly opposite. I did the flower blue, the light blue, and the leaves dark, but the rest of it all the same. So when this sits on the table, it will sit this way. This is also the one where I did a little bit of a wider base. So instead of going 2 inches from here to here, I went the 2.5 inches. It gives it a little bit more of a base to sit on. So it will just sit like that. I know that's hard to see from that direction, but that little pop out gives it a little dimension. You could put whatever element you were putting up on this this piece, you could put on a dimensional also if you wanted, but that's I put the tag on dimensionals. And you can see that one actually came out a little bit better. So that beautiful silver around the edge. And it's not lined up with this edge. It's lined up with the bottom. So how I did that is I took it and I took from the bottom. Well, we'll do this. So I took from the bottom and I lined it up with the bottom, straight with the bottom, and then just moved it up into the position that I wanted. Okay. Yay, that's our card. Gorgeous. I got to finish making that. I got to fix that other one. All right. So here are a couple of examples that I did. So this is my actual swap card. Now, I made 13 because 12, sorry, because I had to send 11 to the swap, and I made one for myself. So this is one where I've got a really narrow base here. I use the Blackberry Bliss, but you can really see that whole having to line it up with the bottom instead of the top with this one with a narrow sentiment tag. So there's that one. And for this one, all I did was I stamped, this is from is it Petals of Beauty? I stamped the detail part of the flower right on the other side of the Blackberry Bliss two-tone paper, and I die cut it out. So that's only one stamp, just the detail stamp. Stamp it on colored paper and you have yourself an instant flower. And then the other side of that is on there. But same embossing folder there. So there's that one. So technically they go like this. Like that, like that. And then I have two more. I have this one where I didn't put the element up here. I put it on here. So that's it. Just, you can see that like that. That one goes like that. And then this one is, I did the same as this, only instead of leaving this open and up like that, I actually put it down with dimensionals to flatten the card out a little bit more. And then I put the sentiment tag up over that. So that one goes like that. Oops, push these over. Like that, like that, like that, and like that. So you can see this one, you can see the base is much wider than what these ones are. But that is our card. That is the Slanted Fun Fold card. This one right here is the one that I'm putting in the swap. Yay! All right. I am so sorry for going over. Let me just switch back to the other camera really quick. And just check. All right. Switch back to me so I can say goodbye. I'm so, yeah, there. Oh, here I am. Excellent. I'm so glad that you joined me. Oh, look, and they're still showing on the bottom. I don't know what that setting is. Something I did, I'm sure. Okay. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so sorry that I went over. I'm trying to wrap this up quick. I will be back next week with another fun fold, one of my other cards for the swap. And that one will be it's one we've done before, but just modified a little bit. So I'm super excited about that. Thank you so much, Sandra. And so I'll be back with that. The description of this video will have a list of all of the products that I used, and what else? A link to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, join my Pinterest board, and what else? If you want to shop with me, or if you want to join my team, or any of that, all of those links will be in the description of this video. And yeah, so I hope you all come back and join me next week. This was fun. Until then, bye.